So I'm Richard. We're here at Booneys Lake, up at Manor Farm. We arrived a little while ago, and I've just been having a little lead about, trying to find a little spot. Found a little spot right over in the distance. There's an overhanging tree, so it's quite a difficult cast, so I had to get down on my knees and punch the lead in really hard. So I think it's one of them spots where not a lot of people will go to the effort to try and get it in there. So got that all clipped up. Got the marker float on and had a little cast about with the marker float. Popped the float up, found out there's about 9.5 foot of water there. Sounds really good for this sort of time of year. It's been cold at night, so I didn't want anywhere too shallow. I've also seen a fish roll on there recently, so looks promising. I've popped on a rig, got it on the spot. It's a lovely, nice little sort of sandy with a little bit of gravel in amongst it, I think it is. Felt nice and clean anyway. And also pinged a few baits around there with the catapult. I'm also only using a little PVA stick at the moment. It's still winter time, it's still pretty cold. It's down at -2 at the moment, so it's still pretty chilly at night. So I don't want too much bait around the rig. I've also got a spot further up down the channel, down to my left. Again, it's a really tricky cast because there's overhanging trees, so you literally have to get down in the water's edge and punch it up the channel. Again, it's one of them spots where people probably don't fish a lot because it's a really difficult cast. And this bird just popped up out of the water there, down there where my rig is. So I have seen a few fish roll down there. So again, it looks like a promising spot, but see how things go as the day goes on. But yeah, it's a nice part of the lake. It's behind the back of an island where there's a cut through over there. There's a few fish showing up and fizzing when we first arrived, so which is why I've decided to come in here. It's also coming up to the weekend, and it's busy as well, so there's going to be a lot of pressure on the main part of the lake, and I think they're pushed to fish into this little back channel. Hopefully they get into these little snags, tuck away, and hopefully pick up a bite or two.
So I'm here at Manor Farm for a 48-hour session on Booneys Lake, and so far it's looking really promising for a bite. There's a couple of the guys from the ClubCarp team come down, and it's the first time we've actually been able to get out in a while, especially overnight. We've just been released from day sessions to be able to do night sessions, so we got booked up here really quickly, and the guys at Manor Farm Fisheries and the owner were really accommodating for us, and were able to get us booked on. A bit sneaky really. The other guys, they're all fishing on the bottom. Thought I'd do something a little bit different as the temperature's up. So I've just put out a couple of zigs on a gravel bar using our own zig kits. I'm gonna put a sloppy mix over the top. Fingers crossed, that should do me a bite. So I arrived last night to have a chat with the owners and the fishery manager and the bailiffs. I was able to get everything set up prior to the arrival of the team. So I was fortunate enough to jump in one of the pegs that was showing a couple of fish out in front. And I've kind of acted on that as well. So I know the fish are up in the layers. I can see them cruising around, and it's really warm. It's really quite hot. So I really don't think they're going to be playing ball on the bottom. I think with the mix that I'm going to put out though, it's definitely going to have some boilie in it, a little bit of sweet corn, So tonight it's all prepped later for the spots tonight. But I'm feeling pretty confident. Fingers crossed. It feels so good to be back out on the bank. It's been an exceptionally long winter, especially only being able to do day fishing only. It feels good to be back out, doing something that I absolutely love, night fishing. And to be at a venue like this, where the water's crystal clear, the fish are immaculate, and I'm with good company. Even if we don't catch anything this session, it's great to be just back out on the bank. So my approach this session then, to begin with, a couple of spoms of a real sloppy mix over a couple of zigs while the temperature's up through the middle of the day. Hopefully, like I said, will get me a bite. Fingers crossed.
So join us here at Booneys Lake up at the Manor Farm complex. Arrived there early this morning, had a little bit of a look around. Didn't really see much going at the moment, so opted on a swim just at the moment. Had a bit of a lead around, found sort of nice sort of off the island there. It was very shallow, so I thought with the sun up, fish sort of may come round, maybe pick one up. And as it sort of shelves down a bit, so I've gone one rod sort of fairly shallow, then that sort of 1-2 foot down to about sort of 6-7 foot. At the moment, I've literally just gone with three PVA bags like that. Nice 3.5 ounce lead, inline drop off. Cast nice and compact. Obviously it's barbless rules only, size 6s, so I'm fishing slack lines, but obviously nice and tight as well. Hopefully we get amongst a few fish.
So I've just come around the corner a little bit, the temperature's getting up, and I thought I'd wind in the rods quickly and just come around and find a little stalking spot. The lake is looking really full at the moment, it's looking really flush and really healthy. As you can see here, it's a bit flooded and it goes across to another swim, and no one's in that swim at the moment, but I can cast across to some reeds. I've seen a couple of fish show along there, so I thought I'd come round, have a little look with the polarised glasses, try and trickle in a little bit of bait, and you never know, there might be a stalking opportunity. Wow, it's so clear. Mega. So where I'm standing, is obviously it's knee depth, and the lake's pretty flooded at the moment. In front of me, it just shelves straight off, and because the water's so clear here, I can see the bottom perfectly. It is the most polished bit of gravel, clay, just at the bottom of the shelf. And definitely going to put a bit of bait on that because I'll be able to see if it's gone or not. I'm just contemplating whether that I approach this a little bit different. So I've got the option here to be able to cast over, pick up my rig, drop it in by hand, and then fish it what's known washing line style. So that means there's no line in the water, comes all the way across to this bank and then drops down to the rig. But that spot is definitely going to do a fish. Wow, I'm absolutely buzzing. I've just seen this massive common just cruise past, almost like probably only half a rod length out. I felt like I could just reach out and touch it. Just goes to show, staying here 5-10 minutes, just staying really still, and I've now seen enough to want to be able to put a bit of bait out. There's definitely fish in this area. The spot is clear, it's deep, Oh, it's so carpy. So I'm going to get a fair bit of bait out on this one. Plenty of corn in there as well. But I'm not going to fish it yet. I'm just going to put plenty of bait out. I'm just going to leave it. We've got 2 nights. I think I might leave it tonight. Let them get comfortable feeding on it. And then put a rig on it tomorrow. Oh, that is mega fishing. I get out of here as quiet as I can. And then, like I said, I've just heard Simon up the bank have a fish. So I'm gonna go get these waders off and then go and see what he's got. Absolutely buzzing.
So we've been at Booneys Lake for a couple of hours, still in the process of setting up the swim. I chucked 2 rods out as soon as I arrived, one in between the 2 islands in the channel. And a couple of hours later, this lovely dark common of 24 pounds has took the bait. Orange pop-up presented on a hinge stiff rig, doing the business. So one last look. At this lovely common. And return her home. Now the other lads have to catch me up. Off the mark.
Hi, I'm Billy. I just arrived down Booneys Lake, managed to get half a day off work, which is good. Just joined the rest of the team. I've just jumped in a swim called the Point because it commands a lot of water and I wanted a bit of free space. I didn't want to be too close to any other anglers. So I just found a few nice little spots. Spot out by the reed bed, about 7 foot, a little gravel patch. A nice little margin spot down to my left, and I just found the final spot, which is 10 3/4 wraps, towards that big tree over there, which is about 11 feet, and it's nice and clear gravel. So I'm just going to get the rods prepped now. I think I'm going to drop a solid bag on it. So just got myself sorted, got all 3 rods out. I'm just going to talk to you now a little bit about the venue and why we chose to fish here. So we're at Manor Farm Fisheries in Biggleswade, and we're fishing the Booneys Lake, which is one of 8 lakes on the complex. So why we decided to fish this one, because it's quite well stocked. It holds around 200 carp up to mid-30s, and all the fish in here are really dark. The water's tap water clear, so they darken off really nice. So yeah, there's 8 lakes here, and they range from quite easy, really high stocked, to quite difficult. There's a lake called the Winters Lake, which holds some 40-pound carp in there, so that's quite a popular lake. So there's a real variety of angling challenges to be had at Manor Farm, so definitely head over to their website and check them out.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm one of the team members here at ClubCarp. We're down today, a group of us fishing. Really looking forward to it. I've just not long turned up myself, fishing a snaggy margin out in front of me. So just quickly, as I'm the last one down, flicking a couple of, looks like what will be a couple of hinges out for the night into some snaggy areas. I don't want to start leading up too much in the area. The chaps have been down most of the day and I don't want to create too much commotion. So I've had a quick flick out with one of my leads into a little bit of a bay or depression with a bit of a drop. I'd I guess 6 foot deep, and I'm going to flick a hinge into there and find a couple of other spots over the next sort of 45 minutes and get the rods out for the night. Just found a quick spot where I'm in front of my swim. I've got a nice snaggy island in front of me and quite shallowed right out in front, but as I had the Polaroids on, I noticed there's a sort of deeper depression in the bay. I had a quick flick with the lead out, and I want to say it's about 6 foot deep at just shy of 7 wraps. A bit of a firm spot before I pull back and hit the clip. Before I pull back and hit some weed. So I'm just trying to have one more cast before I get the rig on and get my first rod fishing. It's a bit of a precarious swim, but we'll give it our best. I'm sort of standing on the side of a clip. On the edge, it's quite a sheep, quite a quick drop, but we'll give it a go. There we go, that was bang on. So it's just shy of 7 wraps where I'm fishing. You get a bit of a pullback and then it's into the weed. So we'll flick a rig on now. For me, probably fishing a hinge stiff rig. I've pretty much fished hinges all through my winter on my syndicate, so I'm going in with what I'm confident with on this lake. I've not fished it myself before, so I think this evening will be a couple of hinges dotted about, one in that 6 foot drop bay. I'm maybe just fish one off the side of the island in front of me and then one down my margin. But let's get some rigs out and see if we can get amongst these fish. Perfect. Now you can see how hard it is to get out. This is where the outtakes come in. Wallop. Oh, that's annoying. There we go.
So this is my special, it's not my special little rod sock actually, it's a special little rod sock. Now on the last social, Richard introduced this little guy, and the rules being are that you've got to put it on someone's rods without them noticing and get a picture or a bit of video of you doing it. And then that person has this attached to their rods, on the butt of their rods, for the whole of the session until they can pass it on to someone else, either during this session or on the next one. The rules are though, you can only pass it on to somebody else when they're not looking, and you've got to get a picture of you doing it. So James has just snuck off round the corner for a wee, and I'm going to try and get it on his rods without him seeing. Right, here goes. That's it. Oh, over to James. So it's coming on late evening now, and all the guys are here and they're all set up. It's great having the whole team together, and we've got Billy now fishing on what we've come to now know as Billy Mate Island. So he's fishing just up there, and then Jack Play has just arrived as well, and he's got himself set up in a really good swim, fishing to a tight snag. Like I said, it's late evening now, sun's starting to go down, the heavens have opened and it started raining. The wind forecast, or the wind direction, has changed, and it's now pushing into our side of the bank, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that should bring some fish with it. We've had quite a good day today, having a good chat amongst the guys, having a good catch up because it's been a while since we've seen each other because of lockdown, and Simon's managed that mid-20 common. We're all found our spots, we're all fishing comfortably, and we've all got some rigs out for tonight, and fingers crossed we'll have a bite in the middle of the night, and we'll have a nice scaly carp to show you at some point throughout the night.
Woke up early this morning after a bit of a quiet night. I had 3 bags out, about 20 wraps, a nice sort of hard spot. Started seeing a few bit of bird action coming in, so I decided to reel in. I've got 3 zigs out now, 1 on yellow and black, 1 on red and black, 1 just on black, 3 different depths. Going to chuck them around a bit for today, hopefully try and nick one, fingers crossed.
Hi guys, so last time you saw me last night I was just, I'd arrived late after everybody else, so jumping in this swim here I'm hemmed in by James in the rod next, in the swim next to me, and Simon, but I'm fishing in this channel here which you can see in front of me, which offers me a bit of a snaggy island right out in front. It's only a short chuck for me here, so you would have seen me last night flicking the one rod, a little bit of an awkward cast into a slightly deeper depression in that island margin, where the snags just come out. So I've had the one rod out there, and not wanting to let up too much last night with the guys being set up and disrupt the fish, I had a few chucks down this island margin here with my left rod, and found a slightly silty or low silk weeding sort of spot down there, and got a hinge set up on that one. And then my right hand rod is just almost in the mouth of this channel here, it's only a short flick at 3.5 wraps, and found sort of quite a firm drop, almost like a clayey substrate there. Bit of a pull back, and then you put into sort of this marginal weed which we can see in front of us. So sort of had the 3 rods out overnight, dotted in a few different options just to see what's going to work. A few beeps and liners, but nothing to report yet. The wind's changed overnight, so we've now got an east-northeasterly coming in. Whilst it's a cold wind, I'm hoping with a new wind those fish may start to come on the front of that wind now and come into this island margin. The rods are out, and the traps are set as such, and you know, we hope to get one.
So the swim I was in last night, really quiet, didn't really hear a lot in the night. So I came down here about 2:30, 3 o'clock last night for just a little wander to see if I could hear anything, and there was a few fish crashing out in the deeper water out in the middle here. So about 8:30, 9 o'clock, still hadn't seen anything in the other swim, so I picked up the 3 rods, quickly whipped them in, come down here, there's a dead tree coming off the corner of the main island over there, and quickly wrapped that up. That was about sort of 20 and a quarter wraps, I think it was. Clip that up, put a solid bag on it, and then pass that out, literally clipping the branches as it goes in. It went down with a nice little donk, so I think it's probably sitting in about 10, 12 foot of water there. But I know the guy who was in here yesterday, he had a couple of fish, so hopefully nick a bite and maybe move back to the other swim for the evening. I've put a bit of bait out today in that swim before I came down here. There's quite a few silverfish moving about, so I thought probably the bait what I put in yesterday wasn't enough, and maybe it had been cleared out within sort of an hour of me even fishing maybe, so there's a bit more bait there. Hopefully the carp will get over that bait today whilst I'm down here and the lines are out of the water. Hopefully they get a bit of confidence up, have a little feed and grub about on that bait, and then when I get the rods in later quickly they will be clipped up. I know the distances already, so they'll be cast out, one cast each probably, drops into the spots, nice and quiet, and hopefully nick a bite in the night as well.
So, just enjoying a cup of tea. It's lunchtime. Hasn't been the most productive morning. Bit of a finicky take on my right hand rod, fishing down the margin on that little gravel spot that I baited up yesterday, and it's away. But unfortunately, it's kited straight into the snag that I'm fishing next to. I know it's still there. Oh, it's a big lunge. I can feel it kicking and I can feel it grating on the bottom. So all I'm doing at the moment is just putting a bit of steady pressure on it, waiting for the fish to sort of push itself back out, and then we'll be back in action. So I like all these things, really important. Just keeping a bit of steady pressure there. I'm not going to back it off. Barbless hooks. Really do not want to let it have any line so it can throw that hook. I'm keeping rod tip nice and low to try and pull it out of the bush. But I just don't want to force it too much, because I don't want to cut the line. Hopefully we can get it free and we'll get one out on the bank. I think what it's done is it's probably wrapped itself around like a single stem. Doesn't feel like it's gone that deep into the snag. Normally if it's deep in a snag you feel the line graunching and it'll be like locked up tight. Whereas this, I'm not getting any movement on the fish, but you can feel it just do a big flick of the tail and it does a bit of a pull. So it would suggest that the line's probably just wrapped once around like a single stick or over something in the bush. It's been a hard morning's fishing, so hopefully we'll get this one in. Come on, girl. Well, it just goes to show a bit of pre-baiting up and a well-placed rig on a day when it's been fishing slow and hard has done the business. I went round this morning to check on the bait and the bait was all still there, and all I've done is I've left the rod in situ, left it in place, not touched it, not disturbed it, and eventually it's gone. But unfortunately, fishing close to snags, you are running the risk of a fish darting straight into it, and that's happened here. But now it's all about how we get it out. And patience is the key with this. You will come out. More often than not, the fish come back out the way it's gone in. There we go. There we go. Here he comes. Here he comes. There, I just gained a little bit there. Thought that was it then. Something went then. Something came out nicely then. Hopefully not the hook out the fish's mouth. I think the fish is gone. I think I'm towing a big snag right now. Well, unfortunately, I think I've dropped the fish, but it is pulling in the snag, whatever I was tethered to. But you never know there might still be a fish on the end of this. Very hard to tell. I haven't felt it shake its head or have a kick of its tail in a while. But it's slowly coming in. You'd expect to feel it doing this, but no. It just goes to show though, keep a bit of gentle pressure on something and eventually it will come out. Whether it be the fish comes out or the snag comes out. Just got to take your time with it. I have a feeling we've not got a fish here. I think we've just got the whatever it was snagged up to. Either way, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, there's a big, you can see the snag now. There's no fish on that. Gutted. It's probably what pinged, was that I felt ping off was probably the fish. And then it's just pulled straight back into a big clump of debris. So completely out of the blue, mid-afternoon, bite down on that margin, down on the margin spot that we was pre-baiting yesterday. Now the fish unfortunately kited straight right into a snag. We applied just a generous amount of pressure to it, kept it there. We've been about 10-15 minutes and you could feel the fish there the whole time. But unfortunately, one bump and it was gone. That's the problems with fishing barbless venues or barbless hooks on venues like this, is that you do run a greater risk of losing the fish. But you can still odds it in your favour for landing them fish. So gentle pressure, keep it there, and then hopefully get them into the bank. Also, when we did bring it in, because we've kept that generous amount of pressure there and we haven't pulled for a break, I was able to pull back the snag that it was fishing to, and also came with it 2 separate rigs from other anglers as well. So it looks like here we've got a big sort of 4 or 5 ounce lead on a safe zone leader, incorrectly used so the lead can't drop off, and then also I've got a massive ball of mono here, and in that big bed of weed somewhere is going to be a rig. So when you are fishing these day ticket venues, make sure that you're using the appropriate setup and that you can lose the lead, especially when you're fishing snaggy situations just like this one. Right, so what I've done, I've just stripped back about 3 rod lengths worth of line. Now the spools hold plenty of line, and line doesn't cost an absolute arm and a leg. What you're looking at, £15 for a new spool of line to do all 3 reels. So it's important that you strip a little bit back, especially after you've been playing a fish close to snags, so you don't know how damaged the line's become. And now I'm just going to put a lead on, so I'll put a rig on so I can drop the lead just in case, and I'm going to cast it over to the far bank, walk round, put another handful of bait in over the top, fresh rig, and then get it back on the spot, because I know fish are now coming back into that area. Hopefully it hasn't spooked them that much, but get round there as quick as I can, probably while they've moved out, get that rig back in place, and hopefully get another one. So just to have absolute precision, because it's such a small spot and you can see it through the polarised glasses, crystal clear where the fish have been feeding. I've come back round with the polarised glasses on and you can see the fish have absolutely cleaned it out. Considering we put a bit of bait out yesterday, they've really been having a good time on that spot. So I'm gonna get another rig on it. Like I said, I've cast from the swim over to where I am now, just with a lead on like a lead clip system. I've come round, cut that off, and now I'm just gonna loop to loop a new leader on with a solid bag. And where I can see it, I'm just going to put it out, just drop it out, and with the solid bag, I know that it's going to be presenting well with a little parcel of bait. And just to finish it off, I'm then going to put another handful of boilies in over the top. So loop to loop that on. There we go. About a foot worth of leader, lead-free core, and then a little German rig inside with a little yellow scent from hell. Right, let's make sure we get this in the right spot. So a generous helping of raw marine soaked in liquid fish, a good bit of sweet corn in there, and also a load of the krill powder. Just makes these boilies really sticky, hangs a nice thick liquid in the water column, enough to pull the fish down. And I'm going to put plenty of that back on the spot to get them grubbing around again. Couple more scoops. Fingers crossed, it won't be long before we get another bite. Come on, Tom, let's get out. So I've just gone round, put that rig in by hand. As I've done so, James has just come down, just minded my rods for me, just in case I did get a take, he'd be there to just pick it up just while I was doing the walk round. Now, we've placed it by hand very carefully in the spot that we want it. Obviously now there's a little bit of slack line. I need to take up that tension and set my rods. So I'm just going to pull the rod back into the rest exactly where I want it, and then wind back the line using the spool. What I'm trying to achieve is a nice tight line. I don't want it cutting through the swim, but I need as much early indication as possible. So as soon as the fish comes in contact with the lead, I'm going to know about it. Added to that, I'm going to fish a tight clutch. So as soon as the fish does pick up the lead, it's not going to be able to take any line and bury itself back into that snag, giving myself the maximum opportunity to be able to bully it away, get it away from them snags and try and get it on the bank. And now she's back in action.
Okay, so didn't have any joy back at the swim up there earlier on. It was worth a try. I think the fish had moved off. They clearly weren't down there, so I'd been baiting a little bit just behind the back of the island where I fished last night, putting a few little half baits over there whilst I was down there, keeping an eye on it. And I saw one of the fish actually come in, drop down on the clay spot and start feeding on some of the little half baits I'd put in there. So come back down there about an hour or so ago, got a rod up there on the clay spot, and another one just off the clay spot, and then I put one on the corner of the island over here, and unfortunately I lost one about 30 minutes ago. Rod wrapped round, proper snag fishing, tight up against the snags, and tip went round, lifted into it, and unfortunately the hook turned over. I think it probably just hadn't gone far enough into its mouth properly. Yeah, hopefully get a few more in the night. That's it, there you go.
If you can't, mate, just kneel down, just lift them up again.
Yeah. Lovely, nice, dark mid-upper double common from Booneys Lake. Caught it on that little spot where I lost one from not that long ago. It's just got dark now, so yeah, well happy with that. Proper gave a good scrap, trying to get back in the snags, and yeah, managed to get it in. It's proper nailed in the bottom lip with a nice little bunch of maggots. Get this back and try and get a bigger one. So yeah, it's been a proper tricky session. I'm well happy with this one. Lost one earlier, got this one, got a feeling it ain't going to be the last one of the night either. So get this back. It's really cold now. It's going to drop down to -1 tonight. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Well done, mate. Great job. In deep sleep in my bag, absolutely frosty morning, and the middle rod's gone into absolute meltdown. I really thought it was going to be a blank on the cards. Deep in battle at the moment. Hopefully I can get this one on the bank for all of us to see. On a solid bag, fish at 20 wraps, positioned on a hard spot, fishing with zigs over it yesterday, nothing on the zigs, so went back out on the solid bags, topped up a little bit of spod, and yeah, hopefully we get to see this one in a minute. Been playing it now for about 10 minutes. Yes. In you go. That's right. Result. Absolute glorious morning, extremely cold last night, but lucky enough I had this absolute ripping take this morning. Persisted with my baited spot at 20 wraps, solid bags filled with crumb, pellet and a good helping of go. This is a prize, absolute stunning common, well happy, blank saver. So this is fish number 2 off the baited spot, 20 wraps out, solid bag. This one consisted of a Medusa rig, absolutely nailed, mega scrap. As you can see, look at the colours, and what a morning for it, well happy. One last look at this Booneys bar of gold, and slip it back, and then go back to George for an update on the weekend's activities. Well happy. Yes.
Well, very good morning. Last night was exceptionally cold. Woke up with a thin layer of ice across the bivvy and on my landing mat. But James, exceptional angling, has managed to pull out the bag 2 smaller commons. I, on the other hand, unfortunately are struggling a little bit. Lost that one lunchtime yesterday into the snags, and nothing came for me last night. That being said though, I'm feeling really confident on that spot actually. The wind's pushing hard down in that corner. I went round a little earlier, had a little look, and a little bit of the bait has gone. And I've no doubt that today at some point where the temperature's getting up and the wind blowing in that corner, that the fish are going to get in there again. So I've opted to leave them 2 rods fishing down in them snags untouched from last night. I think minimal disturbance is going to be the key here. Whereas on the other hand, my left hand rod was fishing at 15 wraps straight onto the middle of the lake onto a gravel bar which runs from the point over there across to the island. Some of the guys on the far bank caught a few fish last night, and we've seen a few roll a little bit further out. And as I look out now, there's a group of geese, group of ducks just sitting at about 20 wraps out, just sitting there, and I can't help but feel they're sitting there for some reason. So I'm going to wind in this left-hand rod, rig up a new solid bag containing Alan Blair's Slip D rig with all the components from the next subscription box. I'm going to punch it out straight onto that spot at 20 wraps, and fingers crossed that might even do me a bite. There we go, so just got that solid bag out. 20 wraps straight to the middle of the lake, just where all them birds were sitting. And again, hopefully that'll do me a bite. Things like that you just can't ignore. So there's about, maybe 20 birds, all just sat there in just one clump in the middle of the lake. Now, either there's naturals coming up off the bottom that they're just picking up off the surface, possibly fish feeding on the bottom, kicking up all the naturals and any bait coming to the surface, or it might just be a part of the lake where the water temperature is just a little bit more. Either way, that's something that I can't ignore, especially when it's right out in front of my swim. Right, there we go, just sinking that line down. Just want to make sure it's all the way down in the water column before I put it on the rest. Pull the line back, just ever so slightly. And then I'm just going to let that settle before I put the bobbin on it. About 5-10 minutes. Just let that line settle back down and then I'll put the bobbin on. All right, time to get a tee on, I think.
After catching a couple of fish this morning, I went to see Jules, had a bit of a catch up with him, see how he's getting on for today. I'd like to just go for the rig that I've been using for this weekend and why. As the water is still extremely cold at the moment, we've still got really cold nighttime temperatures. I personally don't think the fish are into massive big hits of bait at the moment, so I've actually gone for the solid bag approach and try and actually fish for a bite and try and actually get 1 or maybe 2 fish on the bank. The rig I'm using is a 3.5 ounce inline lead. I've got a stem on it, a little piece of lead cord. There's a few savage bars out there, mussels and stuff, so obviously I try and avoid getting cut off. Got a short hook link that's attached to a size 6 wide gate barbless hook, and that's fished slightly spinner style. And I've got a bright pop up, and then a few little maggots on top, obviously trying to entice a bite in. And this has been the tactic that I've employed for this weekend, and it's actually produced me a couple of fish. The reason why I use this as well, because I've seen various people put large amounts of bait out this weekend, and there's been a lot of dormant rod hours. Fish aren't really that active at the moment, and a couple of fish I had did have a few leeches still on them, so this is why I've actually just gone for this approach, and it's actually paid off, so I'm very happy with that.
So that's the end of a fantastic 48-hour session here at Manor Farm on Booneys Lake. A really tough session for me, unfortunately resulting in a blank, but that means I'm going to come back and I've got a score to settle now. Some of the other guys had some fantastic fish this trip, and had some fantastic fish, some really nice commons, and we've all had a good laugh. This week I'm going to be fishing on a club water with Jack Player, and I can't wait to see a little bit about his fishing and get an insight into Jack. Guys, please check out our Instagram page, Facebook page, and also head over to clubcarp.com where you can find all the latest information about our upcoming subscription boxes. Right, thanks for watching, and we'll be seeing you again soon.